Hello, myself Sushobhan Rai. I am the assistant professor of SBIST and my department is Electronics and Communication Engineering. Today I am discussing the energy bands in solids. These are the outcomes which I have described in this total lecture, and these are energy band theory, one-dimensional periodic arrangement in crystalline semiconductor, EK diagram, direct and indirect band gap semiconductor, crystal momentum, interatomic spacing, and chronic Penny model. So this is the diagram of energy band or energy band of different materials, and they are solid state materials, and they are basically metal, semiconductor and insulator. It is already known that in case of metal the conductivity is much more higher. In case of semiconductor the conductivity lies in between metal and insulator, but in case of insulator the conductivity is very less. It is almost equal to 0. It has been assumed that it is almost equal to 0. So in this diagram I am describing the energy band of three kinds of solid state materials. One is insulator, another one is semiconductor, another one is conductor. And here I considered both are lying, all of these are lying at a room temperature 300 Kelvin. So there are two kinds of bands I have shown over here. One is valence band, which is completely filled, and another one is conduction band. Okay. So in case of semiconductor, I considered the middle box at first. Here I described the band diagram of semiconductor material. It may be germanium, it may be silicon, it may be some compound material, whatever it is. So before going to the band structure, we are assumed that the VV is always filled up or always full, and the CV or the conduction band, this band is empty where electrons are jumping over there, okay, due to some external excitations or without any external excitations. I can say that it will jump at any room temperature, in any room temperature. In case of insulator, we can see that the band gap or the forbidden energy gap is very higher as compared to semiconductor or metal. But in case of semiconductor, we can see that the band gap is lower as compared to insulator, but it is higher as compared to conductor or metal. But in case of metal, we can see there is no band gap because the conductivity of the metal is very higher as compared to semiconductor or insulator. So what is band gap or forbidden gap? Band gap is nothing but it is a difference in between conduction band and valence band. Okay, it is a difference in between conduction band and valence band, and which is denoted over here Eg. So we can written over here Eg is equal to EC minus EV, and the unit of Eg or the band gap is some electron volt. Okay. So in case of germanium, if we chosen the germanium as a semiconductor material at T is equal to 300 Kelvin, then the forbidden gap or the band gap will be 0.67 electron volt. But in case of silicon, the forbidden gap will be 1.1 electron volt. But in case of gallium arsenide, it will be 1.42 electron volt. So that means for different semiconductor material have different forbidden gap or band gap. But we assume all of these are happening in equilibrium case or all of these are assumed in case of semiconductor. I'm concentrating over semiconductor here. We assume that the semiconductor is uniformly doped material. It may be silicon, it may be germanium, whatever it is. Now in that case the band gap will be 1.1 electron volt if we chosen silicon, and the band gap will be 0.67 electron volt if we chosen germanium. But if we change the percentage of doping inside the material, then the conductivity of this semiconductor will increase drastically. Okay, so we can conclude that by using doping we can change the conductivity of a semiconductor material, or we can increase the conductivity of a semiconductor material. Another important parameter in band theory is Fermi level, which is basically available the top of the electron energy levels at low temperature. From this particular level we can calculate the probability of occupancy of electrons, which are basically coming out from the valence band towards the conduction band. Now this is the periodical arrangement in a crystalline semiconductor. All of these are the atoms represent over here. These black circles represent the structure of the atom, and these are the potential variations respect to each atom's periodic potential energy. And each and every interatomic spacing, that means the distance between each atom, is denoted over here a parameter A. A is nothing but the interatomic spacing. The electrons from the outer orbit of each atom, wave functions for problem involving periodically varying potentials, energy functions. All of these are periodically varying potential energy functions, must be in the form of these equations. Psi of kr, it is nothing but it is the wave functions uk r e to the power I kr. uk is nothing but it is the periodic functions, and e to the power something, that means this is the plane wave, which can be uk of r plus a. R is nothing but the distance and a is the interatomic spacings. According to Bloch, the probability of finding the electrons, Bloch is the scientist, Bloch was the scientist. According to his theory, the probability of finding electrons should also be periodically because the structure is periodic in nature. And similarly, the wave functions, which is denoted the total periodic potential respect to periodic functions and periodic functions or cell functions, and the plane wave will also be periodic in nature. And this kind of theorem is basically known as the Bloch theorem. Bloch theorem. To the next slide, I am discussing over here the EK diagram is represent the energy along y-axis, and K is nothing but the wave propagations, or it is one kind of vector representations along x-axis. This is a periodic diagram. From the first diagram, we can see that this is a periodic arrangement inside a solid or inside a crystalline material, where e-axis represents the energy and k is a wave vector which represents the propagations along x-axis, along the directions of x-axis. As it is a periodic arrangement, which means for every given value k is equal to pi by a, this is pi, 2 pi, this one is 3 pi, so k is equal to pi by a, 2 pi by a. And similarly, if we go towards the negative side, the value will be minus pi by a, minus 2 pi by a, minus 3 pi by a, and so on. Corresponding to seeing every energy level, you have now periodical arrangement or the periodical energy levels. Periodical, obviously the values are also be periodic in nature. If we see the boundary in between minus pi by a to pi by a, 0 is the middle point, so minus pi by a to pi by a, this is the first boundary, and this is called the borders of the first Brillouin zone. This is called the border or the first Brillouin zone, first B zone. And kx, ky and both are equal to 0. That means if we consider kx equal to ky equal to 0, that means k is also equal to 0, and this point is called the gamma point. Our main concentrations is periodic because the total wave functions or the total potential which is periodic in nature. As all of these are periodic in nature, that means minus pi by 2 pi by a, minus 2 pi by a2 plus 2 pi by a, minus 3 pi by a2 plus 3 pi by a, all of these are, and so on, all of these are periodic in nature. That is why for simplicity purpose we are considering the range minus pi by a to pi by a. This is a fixed range because this is a periodic in nature. Now, what is basically happening, the motion of electrons in a crystal is governed by the laws of quantum mechanics. If you have one electron or one proton in a crystalline material, like in case of hydrogen atom, it is very easy to solve by Schrodinger wave equations. But in a solid, when there are large number of electrons or atoms are present, in this case it is extremely complicated, or it becomes much more difficult to solve it by Schrodinger wave equations. So finally this will be solved by Bloch equations, and which is basically defined periodic equations, which is basically defined and by using wave equations I discussed in previous slide. Psi k of r is equal to u k of r e to the power I k r. By these equations we can solve the motions of electrons in a solid state device or in a solid. So there are two kind of scheme we are getting to solve this periodic EK diagram. One is reduced zone scheme, another one is extended zone scheme. If you see the reduced zone scheme picture, the highest field of energy level is called the valence band, and the lowest field and the upper one of the valence band is called the conduction band. That means this is the highest field of the lower energy level or the energy level. That is why this region or this band is called the valence band, and similarly this is the lowest energy level of this upper energy band, and this is denoted by the CB or the conduction band. So we are considering only this reduced, we are considering the reduced zone scheme in EK diagram technique, because we already seen that all of these are periodic in nature. So that is why for simplicity purpose we are considering or we are focusing only on this reduced zone scheme structure. Okay, why we are focusing only conduction band and valence band from the diagram? Actually more importantly, it is even sufficient for us to focus on the top of the valence band and the bottom of the conduction band only. When we calculate the density of states of electrons, we will see that it is very extremely large in a band, and the number of electrons or the carrier concentrations which is basically responsible for flow of current is extremely small, and only a small portion of the EK diagram, that means the electrons which are close to the top of the VV or the valence band and the bottom of the conduction band for a particular material to participate the whole process or to generate current. In case of extended zone scheme, we can see this is the lowermost portions, and all of these are the all of these are the discontinuity which are related to or which are coming out from these periodic structures for different Brillouin zone. So this scheme does not allowed over here. So for simplicity purpose we have allowed only this reduced zone scheme technique, and these are the discontinuity. They are not lying on the same line. That is why the discontinuity is happening from at each zone. So now my next slide is direct and indirect band gap semiconductors. So this is the reduced zone scheme we have seen already in previous slide. This is the reduced zone scheme which are basically coming out from this periodic structure. So this is the valence band and this one is the conduction band. Similarly this one is the valence band, this one is also the conduction band. So why it is called direct band gap and why it is called indirect band gap? In case of direct band gap semiconductor material, both valence band and conduction bands are lies on a same line. But in case of indirect band gap semiconductor material, the valence band and conduction band does not lies on the same line. So the band gap is nothing but it is represents the minimum energy difference between the top of the valence band and the bottom of the conduction band, which is denoted by EC minus EV. However, the top of the valence band and the bottom of the conduction band, top of the valence band where the VV is maximum and the bottom of the conduction band where CB is minimum, that means conduction band is minimum, are not generally at the same value of electron momentum. Minimum energy state in the conduction band and the maximum energy state in the valence band are each characterized by a certain crystal momentum, and which is basically denoted over here by this k vector along x-axis, or the propagation constant or wave vector in Brillouin zone. So in case of indirect band gap, here if the k vector or the propagation wave vector are the difference for conduction band minima, this is the minima of the conduction band and this is the maxima of the valence band, called the indirect band gap semiconductor, That means in case of indirect band gap semiconductor, the conduction band minima and the maxima of the valence band are not lying on a same line, where in case of direct band gap both are lying on a same line. Gallium arsenide, iridium, gallium nitrate, all of these are the example of direct band gap semiconductor material. But silicon is the silicon, germanium, gallium phosphide, all of these are the example of indirect band gap material. Indirect silicon, germanium, and direct gallium arsenide. These are the semiconductor material which are lies in direct and indirect band gap material. Now my next slide is based on crystal momentum. Crystal momentum, this is the periodic arrangement. All of these are atoms which I have seen in periodic structure of atoms, and the distance between each and every atoms, all of these are atoms, this each and every circle, the distance between each atom is nothing but A, which is the interatomic spacing. This is A, and this is a plane wave or the sinusoidal wave, and the difference of each peak is denoted over here lambda, which is called the wavelength. So lambda is equal to 2a, we can consider it over here, or we can sing in this diagram. So a is equal to, from this equation, lambda by 2 and k is equal to pi by a, we already seen in periodic structure. If we combine these two equations, a is equal to lambda by 2 and a is equal to pi by k, then we will get lambda is equal to 2 pi by k. Now, according to de Broglie's wavelength, lambda is equal to the wavelength of electrons in semiconductor. Okay, and k is the propagation vector. So if we solve these equations, we can written over here lambda is equal to h by p and p is equal to h by lambda. Now if we put the value over here, then we will get P equal to hk by 2 pi, where P is the momentum in a crystal. Okay. Now this slide represent the energy level splitting or interatomic spacing. If we consider two atoms and their maximum distance, suppose 100 angstrom or 1 micrometer to 1 micrometer, then their distance, the distance in between two atoms is called, this is atom A and this one is atom B. The distance from the nuclide at the center towards the center of the next atom is called interatomic spacing, which is denoted by A. Now what is happening if the interatomic distance is shorter? Okay, hence the electrons of this atom 1 start seeing the second atom B and they get influenced by this. So what will be happened? After a certain distance or after a certain point, the energy level will be splitting up. That means you can also talk that if the interatomic spacing is decreased, the outer orbit will overlap. If the interatomic spacing reduced, the outer orbit will be overlapped after a certain point. When two atoms are well separated, there is a very little interaction between them, and therefore a very little collection of atoms characterized by discrete energy levels, because each atom has these energy levels. Suppose this is E1, okay, this one is E2, and this one is E3, and so on. This is E4, this one is E5. So each and every atom has different discrete energy level, which are basically E1, E2 and E3. But if you start atoms bringing closer and closer, then the energy level gets parted or splitted up. From this diagram we can see that when the interatomic distance is shorter, becomes shorter and shorter, after a certain distance, a certain point, the energy level will be parted. From this diagram we can see the energy level has been parted. Okay, or the splitted up. Suppose this is 100 angstroms. So when this is 100 angstroms, the interatomic spacing, which is represented along the x-axis, the distance. So when the interatomic space is sufficiently large, suppose here in this diagram I am assuming 100 angstrom, you have energy levels which are discrete, okay, which are discrete energy level. But we can here, when we reduce the interatomic spacing, then the energy level splitted up. From this point we can see the energy level splitted up. And suppose this is 10 angstrom, 5 angstrom, whatever it is, assuming 10 angstrom. So from 10 angstrom the energy level parted. Okay, so if we consider this diagram, we can see before perturbations or before splitted up, the energy band gap, the band gap means this, suppose this one is the conduction band and this one is the valence band. So this difference is very large. Okay, that means up to perturbations, when the perturbation has been started up, you can consider this material acts as a insulator. But when the perturbation has been started up, then we can see the band gap is gradually reduced, and for that moment the material changed its operating principle, and this material acts as a semiconductor material. Now when both bands are overlapped, from this diagram we can see that here this band is crossing the junctions and this band is also crossing the junction. That means conduction band and valence band both are overlapped to each other. That means here there is no band gap, and this kind of material is acts as a metal. So from this diagram we can describe three kind of solid state materials. One is insulator, one is from this single band diagram, one is insulator, one is semiconductor, another one is metal. Now my next slide is on Kronig-Penney model. If you consider 1D lattice, then we can see that the interatomic spacing in between two atoms is denoted by A. If you consider a single atom or isolated atom, in that case V is equal to Q1 Q2 by R square. Q1 Q2 is nothing but the charge, and R is nothing but the distance in between. R is nothing but the distance. Now plotting the potential energy variations, this is the potential energy variations. X axis represents the distance, y axis represents the energy. So R is nothing but this is the distance from the nucleus. So potential energy variations looks like this. This is the atoms, and these are the potential wall, and these are the different energy level or allotted energy level. Sometimes it is called 1 by R variations. Why? Because V is equal to Q1 Q2 by R. So V is the potential functions or the potential variations, whatever it is inversely proportional to the distance or the R. So if R is equal to 0, in that case the V will be infinite. That means the infinite potential variations. And this is the series atoms which are connected over here, and this is the periodic arrangement, and simply this is called the periodic potential energy variations. So according to Kronig-Penney model, why it is called Kronig-Penney model, why and what does he explained or experiment over through this model? This is nothing but, in this model what he did actually was approximated these potential variations. All of these are the potential variations with rectangular potential well. If we draw a rectangular potential well respect to each potential variations, it will be looking like this, and these are the atoms. Okay. Now if we considered a single potential well, this supports different discrete solutions. These are the discrete solutions, E1, E2, E3, E4, so on. These are the discrete solutions. But for simplicity we may take a potential well which supports only one discrete solution. That means it can support only one solution. Okay, and it will be looking like this. Suppose this is a rectangular potential well and we are taking only one solution for simplicity purpose. This is E, only one solution. That means there will be only one wave function psi, which is denoted by psi. As it is periodic arrangement, all are will be same. That is why we are taking only one potential well functions or only one wave functions. Now suppose I have taken two potential well. What will be happen? This is the energy level E This one is the same energy level E inside this well, and the interatomic spacing is A and the distance is D. This is D, interatomic spacing is A, this is also D. D is nothing but the width of the well, and A is nothing but the interatomic spacing. This is A. Okay, interatomic spacing. Here from the diagram we can see these two wells are non-interacting well due to these separations A. So these will have only one solutions, or both have identical height and width. When A is much larger, that means the interatomic spacing is much larger, so than D, then there will be no interaction between each other. But if the interatomic spacing is reduced, and after reductions of the interatomic spacing, the picture will be looking like this. I am drawing over here. The interatomic spacing is reduced as compared to this. So what will be happened? The wave tail interact with each other, and gradually the wave of this first well overlapping with the wave of this second well. Okay, so after interacting we have get two solutions. One is E1, another one is E2 or E0, whatever it is. Below E1 E0. Similarly here E1, below E1 is E0. So if there are two well or two rectangular well, then we will get two solutions. One is E1, another one is E2. But if we consider three rectangular well, then we will get three solutions. For four rectangular well, we will get four solutions, and so on. Now I am going to the next slide. Here I am describing the discrete energy level to formation of energy band respect to interatomic spacing or number of atomic orbitals. Okay, so in this diagram, if I have only one well, suppose this is wall 1, then energy level is this E1. For first well it will be E1. When number of wells is 2, in that case, when number of well is 1, that means only one solution, and that is E1. Okay, but if the number of well is 2, in that case we will get two solutions. Okay, this is E, this is E. Now we will get two solutions, E1 and E2, which is represented over here. This is E1, this is E1. For second solution, this is E1, this is E2. For first well, this is only one energy level, only one energy solutions will get, and this is denoted by E. Now for three well, in that case the energy solution will be E1, E2 and E3. That means we will get 3 energy solutions. For 4 well we will get 4 energy solutions. For 5 well get 5 energy solutions, so on up to n number of well. And the number of cell become very large, n value, then number of allowed state become saturated after a certain point. That means there is no solutions will get, and the number of solutions does not increased randomly, okay, and they will be saturated to a certain point, and which is denoted by this band, and that is denoted by del of E. Okay, so that's it for this lecture. Thank you.